All right, so the purpose of this video is to show you how to use fiberglass and fix the inside of a bumper that is cracked on the outside. So you can see the inside of my bumper here has a big crack down the middle, and it's had a crack on the outside for a long time now. And then there's another crack right here. The things that you are going to need for this is that you are going to need fiberglass resin, which is the stage 2. This is the liquid resin. You're going to need the hardener for that, which is this chemical here because it's an epoxy. You are going to need the fiberglass cloth sheet, which I can show you is this. It's called fiberglass cloth. Do not get the mat, you want the cloth. And you're going to cut pieces that are going to fit over the spot that you're trying to fix. So I've cut a lot of pieces for that spot and then a lot of pieces for this small spot up here. The next most important step is prep. So you have to clean this area really good and score it. When I say score it, I mean rough up to make it so that the fiberglass sticks better. So I used just a little bit of a Dremel, some sandpaper, and I roughed this up. And then I used brake cleaner and a cloth, and I cleaned it of all the debris. That way this fiberglass sticks to it appropriately. And I did the same thing up here. And then on the back side, what I did was I used painter's tape, and I just outline where I'm going to put that resin so that it doesn't leak through and cause a mess on the underside. All right, now let's talk about mixing the epoxy. All right, so you're gonna need some kind of cup or bowl. If you only do one solo cup, it will chew through the solo cup because it's toxic to the solo cup. So I always just use like 3 solo cups. I pour enough in there that I think that I'm gonna need, and then I use my hardener. Now, it'll tell you like a ratio, but it's hard to measure out a ratio. The realistic answer is you only need a few drops for a half a cup full, but I will just give a quick squirt because then I know that I have enough resin in there. If you don't have enough resin, it's gonna take a very long time to get hard, just being honest. The colder it is, it'll also take longer to get hard. And then the key is that this is an epoxy, so it's activated by mixing it. And the more you mix it, the more it gets activated. And you need it to be completely mixed for it to work appropriately. So I will mix this for about 2 minutes straight. And one, that'll also heat it up. So I'm gonna stop the video just so I can use 2 hands and really mix this up. Okay, I've mixed it up for about 2 minutes. Always wear gloves. This stuff gets messy and it gets on things. If you get it on things and need to clean it up, brake cleaner works really well. Starter fluid works really well. Acetone works really well. So next step is to actually start using this, because if it was hot out, this would start curing in about 10 minutes. It's a little colder today, so I know I have plenty of time for it to cure. It does not air dry, okay? This is not like a blow a fan on it and it'll dry. It is a epoxy reaction. So the warmer it is outside, the faster it dries. So I paint a thin coat of resin on the side that I'm going to be putting the fiberglass cloth, and then I will start laying the cloth in an organized fashion. And each time you lay a piece of cloth, you will repaint over it, okay? So I want that to be about right there, and then I'm gonna paint over that. So you're gonna paint just a little bit of more resin on there. And you'll know that it's covered because it'll change color, right? You'll be able to see that it's wet. Every layer has to be wet. If the layer is not wet, then they're not going to mold together. And it gets messier as you go. This stuff starts to like break down, turns all into basically a very weird substance as you go. Just paint and paint and paint. You'll see what I'm talking about. So then we'll use a small piece and cover the crack itself. Just kind of tap it down, get it to stick. And then again, you're gonna paint and get that to really stick, and make sure that it's sticking down and not like peeling up, because it'll want to peel up over time too. That's what you want to avoid. And then you're just literally just piling on sheets of this, and you want to get it in spots where it's going to overlap so that it starts to really add that strength to it. The more it overlaps, the more strength it will add. Too much resin's not good either, so you don't want to be like soaking it with resin, but you want to have enough that you know it's going to bond to itself. It's a kind of a fine line that you have to feather with it, okay? And then all the cleanup work is once you're done doing this. So like that's whenever you're gonna let it dry, you'll cut the extra edges off. I usually use a Dremel. You can use a sander. A sander actually works really well. But the thicker this is the more likely you're not gonna crack that front bumper again. I cracked mine by pulling into far to a curb. All right, so you'll get this technique. Let me add a few more layers, and then I'll show you the final picture of it, okay? All right, so once you're done fiberglass, and it should look like that. It should all be matted, appropriately like flattened out. Now these little layers that are hanging off the edge, what I did is I made sure that they're flush with the edge. Now they'll dry super hard, so once they're dry, you just take a Dremel or a cutting tool, you just cut along that edge and sand it. And then when you're done, that should actually give it some support, and then you can patch the outside with some body filler.